Ron Harris here from MuscularDevelopment.com. Coverage of the 2022 and the very first Boston Pro, brought to you by High Tech Pharmaceuticals. Here with, because we're in Boston, you have to have the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond. So we just wrapped up this historic show. We're going to go through some results, guys. Figure, first place, no surprise, based on judging. Lola Montez from Canada. Nicole Zenobia-Graham second. Boljana Vasiljevic third. I said her name right, actually. Not everyone does. Lola Montez, man, she's coming on strong in figure.
She looked awesome. Great shoulder width, tiny, teeny waist, great condition. Legs were unbelievably separated. She looked great.
What about the calves?
Yeah, she had the best calves on stage this weekend,
Seriously?
I think. Yeah, next to Kuklo, I think she had them.
So in bikini, we had Maureen Blanquisco pulling off a win. Isa Bacchini, former Olympia champion, second. Mexico's Ellie, how do you say it? Ellie Fernandez in third. So yeah, Maureen, she did pretty well. Wasn't she second to Laura Lee last weekend in Columbus?
She was. And you know what? I thought Isa changed enough this weekend to pull ahead of her. I really did. I don't know what I'm thinking. But she's just so stunningly beautiful on stage. You can't take your eyes off her. And she tightened up. She was, a little softer in Columbus, her glutes, but she tightened up. Her midsection's insane. But, they made the right call. Maureen was awesome.
Men's physique, no surprise. Same guy that won last week, Aaron Banks. Phenomenal. A tall guy, very, very wide shoulder, small waist. Diogo Montenegro, second place. Joshua Guidry in third. I didn't miss any divisions here. You want to go? I'm gonna save open for last, even though this was the very first show where open results were not last. It's always been the open bodybuilding is the very last thing. Save the best for last. This time, and maybe this is a sign of things changing. Classic physique was the very last division to go on. Do you think there's any significance to that, or that's just maybe a one-off?
I don't know, but this show, I'll tell you what, the star of the whole show was Urs. Yeah. Urs was the shining star of everyone in the entire show. So it ended fittingly. I don't think that's why they did it, but it ended fittingly with the most exuberant, that kid is awesome, He was special, and he's the one guy that I was thinking to myself, I'm going to mention this in the wrap-up, he's a superstar. Yeah. And we just saw his really welcome party today,
There was a lot of young guys in the crowd, I don't know if you noticed, and they were there for Urs.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going nuts for that kid. So if that's a sign of anything changing as far as, because that's the next generation, guys.
Yeah.
People like Jose and my age, we're the dinosaurs. We're on the way out. It's these young kids coming up. If they love the Urses, the Ramondinos,
yeah.
That's someday Classic could be more popular than Open. I used to say, no, that's ridiculous. Now I'm thinking it could happen maybe.
It can, to a degree, when you have the right stars to bring it out. Like you have Bumstead, you have this kid. They're doing a good job at creating these stars and people to be interested in, to create that following. It's not just the young kids, it's the women, it's the girls. They're like, wow, that guy's nice to look at. He's not just huge, He's a pretty physique, a pretty face, pretty hair, teeth, smile, everything. And his routine was phenomenal. So that's something fun to watch.
He is fun to watch, and he's just got that exuberance. He's so happy to be there.
Yeah.
He makes you happy looking at him.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're in a shit mood, just watch Urs Kalachinsky on stage. I guarantee you'll perk right up. All right, let's get into open, man. No surprise, William Bonac was a heavy favorite because he was a very, very close. We both had him winning in Columbus.
Yeah.
But he went all the way back to Netherlands, came all the way back. Condition I thought was maybe not as tight, obviously, but given that circumstances, but it was more than enough. Brandon did just barely enough to win last week. Bonac, I think, was a clear winner. There was never a question.
There was never a question, and I don't think his condition was any worse at all. In fact, I think he was more full in Columbus, like bigger, fuller, which to some people might view that as better condition, but I just think he was on the flatter side, if you can call William Bonac flat. And that might have made him look not as conditioned, but I thought he was outstanding, not even close, clear cut winner. You could have flipped a coin with second place, just like last week with Steve and Justin. There, you could have flipped a coin. Today, you could have flipped a coin. It ended up as it did.
You've judge. Why do you think he got the nod over Kukla?
Because he's bigger. He's a little bigger. And the one pose I've been saying that throws me off with Kukla is that front double. Holding his midsection tight, it makes him narrower, where Justin's huge and wide. So that pose is an important pose, and he beats him in that pose. So, I actually like Kukla's front lat spread. I like his side tricep. From behind, the rear double, Justin's massive, a lot thicker than Steve, but Steve's a lot drier in the lower body and separated. So you could make a real argument for either one of them. It went the way it did. The surprise was the improvements of Max Charles.
Yeah, I did not have him. I didn't have him like last place or anything, but I thought, so Samson Dowda was a very solid fourth. We'll talk about him, but I got to apologize to Max, because I wasn't even looking at Max today. I thought they didn't have 3 call-outs. Was he in the last call-out? It didn't seem to me as if they were even possibly looking at him for top 5. I thought he was going to end up like around 7th or 8th, something like that. But I think he either tightened up, or maybe I wasn't looking at him enough, because he looked better, a lot better to me tonight. I definitely took a lot more notice of him.
I noticed this morning at prejudging that when he was standing next to Samson, he had a maturity that Samson doesn't have yet. Through the pecs and the shoulders and even the midsection, he's like a grainy, hard kind of guy. And you're like, wow, Samson was just awesome. His presentation was awesome. His routine was awesome. I agree with him placing where he did. He's on the rise. He's going to be a lot better. But yeah, Max has a maturity that sticks out. So you can't just throw him in the back, which is sometimes what they do. They're like, he's not good enough today. But when you give him a chance and he starts posing and getting harder and harder, Max pulls himself out. And congratulations to him. He did a good job.
This is a case where I think the confirmation round really helped him out, because he looked a lot sharper to me tonight than he did I really wasn't even paying attention this morning. I'm like, Max is, maybe he's on the way out. Maybe this is the beginning of the end for Max. I do this all the time. I write people off. I'm an asshole.
They love you, right?
They don't. They get pissed. But congratulations, Max. You pulled it off. You got ahead of Phil Clayar. You got ahead of Regan. Phil looked really good. Worked hard. I've seen him a little sharper. Regan needs a break.
Don't stop with Phil Clayar. We got to keep going.
All right, Phil. We love you, Phil.
Phil, that was a very good Phil Clayar. I think he was better in Texas and Tampa last year, but it was a very good Phil. He just isn't as dry as some of the other guys in the hams and glutes. And that's, it's a ham and glute show. His back was probably the best in the show.
It was.
Yeah. His front double, his front lat spread. He's thick quality muscle. Just needs to be a little drier down low. If he holds on and goes to Indy, he can win a show like that, no question. So yeah, and then who was? No, you
don't. Well, we don't know who placed after 5th. They didn't announce it. I was gonna say Regan.
He had him in the middle.
Yeah, Regan. Beautiful physique. The body looks like it just needs a break. It was getting softer.
Yeah.
It just looks tired. I know he pushed through that Arnold prep, even though he was sick toward the end. He was competing in post-Olympia shows. The kid there hasn't really had a break in a while, and I hope he's already qualified for Olympia. I remembered it this time, guys. So now he doesn't have to do anything till December. I'd like to see what this kid can do, and Milos, his coach, with that physique, with a really good break, come back, have an off season, and come in strong for Olympia.
Yeah, we'll see. As you said, he was falling apart before our eyes. I don't know if he's sick or he, I don't know. He didn't have any lines in his lower body tonight. He usually has those crazy hamstrings. He just looked to be holding a ton of water. He just needs a break. He's a young kid. Take a break, relax, come back. Everyone loves him. The place goes nuts when he goes up there. He's got such a good look to him.
Yeah, my wife was here. She hasn't been to a show in a long time. And she goes, "This kid's good looking."
He sure is. We were talking about this. He looks, even today's condition, it looked like a Bob Paris of that era, that pretty physique with not overly conditioned muscle, but just everything flows and looks good. Even his posing was reminiscent of that era. So, take a break, take a rest.
That's a wrap. I think.
There's a couple of more guys
Let's
you
talk about a couple guys. Doug Frucci. We'll get to Justin. Doug Frucci.
Did you say Justin? Which one, Mackie?
Mackie. Rodriguez. We talked about him.
Why are we listening to him?
Come on, Hector's starving. He can't even think straight right now.
We talked about Rodriguez. We'll talk about Mackie. He was on the smaller side. He was not really conditioned, but what a physique on him, you know? It's easy for us to sit there and say, he wasn't this, he wasn't that, but the reality is he's a pro bodybuilder. He belongs. He looks fantastic. He's got a great physique. Just needs to bring it and nail it.
You know, you can say that because you've been up there with striated glutes. You've been in that condition. Yeah. When it's like some chump on YouTube that's never even been to a contest, that's when I have issues with them saying, rah, rah. But anyway, yeah, Justin just needs time. He's getting better and better, like you said. Yep. Beautiful symmetry and shape. Nate Spear, local
Hometown
guy.
Yes.
Good Lord. I think he had the most support in the crowd for sure.
He sure did. The place was going nuts. Nate's awesome. Everyone loves Nate. He's a great story. You know, he's worked his way up, and he was second, third, you know, and then finally gets the pro card and deserves it. And he's here, and he belonged. He was a few pounds bigger than nationals, and he'll keep coming, you know. He's going to take a break, I'm sure, and then shoot for something later in the year. But he's not old. I think he might be 30.
He's very new. I think he only started competing in like 2016 or 17.
Yeah, I was judging him at the New Englands. He won then, too. He's been good for quite some time. Doug Frucci.
Yes.
Don't forget the Frucci man. He's awesome, this guy. He was the hardest guy in the show. Dug out, crazy hams and glutes. Great back, great rear double. He's just, you know, he's such a big frame. Got to fill it out, pack on some muscle, and, you know, work on the craft of bodybuilding. There are so much minutia in bodybuilding that you can get better at to rise you in placings. Get better at your posing, your presentation. Your tan was horrific. I told you yesterday. You know, there were a lot of guys, but he's a white boy. You got to start days ahead of time to make sure that's in your skin and not on your skin. And, you know, that's it. Did we hit everyone?
Eslam Muhammad.
Eslam, who's good. He's a big dude. Crazy shoulders, arms, abs, striated quads. He's one that could have, I don't know. He could beat Regan.
He could have been. Yeah, he could have.
He's wide.
Maybe he did. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know the placings, the final placings. I'd probably have him in the 6-7 spot.
Pulled off a split too.
What does that mean? Oh, and
split is you know, like a flex wheeler pose with a split.
Yeah,
not easy because he's got to be about 250. That guy. I'm guessing.
I would guess he's tall.
I think we hit everything. Did we miss anybody, Hector? Do you know? I think we're good. Okay, well, guys, please head over to musculardevelopment.com. High resolution images by Hector Mendoza, guy behind the camera here. Awesome stuff there. Plenty of videos on this YouTube channel. We've done interviews, all kinds of stuff all weekend. Please check all those out. Play-by-play thread on the Noble Forum. We had a lot of good commentary and all my little iPhone pictures of the comparisons and all that. Check it all out. We appreciate you watching. That's a wrap for the Boston Pro, the very first Boston Pro. Thanks to the Boston Mass, Jose Raymond, for joining me this weekend. Commentary?
My pleasure.
It was amazing.
It was a great show, by the way. It was a great show. The music, the lights, the presentation.
Production value.
It was dynamite. Well done. Kudos.
A lot of dollars into the show. There is no doubt.
A lot of superstars here, too.
Yes. Dexter, Flex Wheeler, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler. Oh, I can't even remember everybody. There's so many. Yeah, it was a star-studded event. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Coverage of the Boston Pro brought to you by High Tech Pharmaceuticals. We'll see you next.